Welcome to a journey into the minds of the most infamous figures in history. Prepare to delve into the chilling tales of the most notorious serial killers in history. From Elizabeth Báthory to Ted Bundy, these names strike fear into the hearts of millions. Follow along as we unravel the twisted motivations and haunting legacies of these diabolical individuals. Join us as we explore the dark recesses of the human psyche, seeking answers to questions that haunt us all. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. Get ready to uncover the secrets of the most notorious serial killers in history. Let the journey begin. Number 1. In the annals of history, few figures cast as chilling a shadow as Countess Elizabeth Báthory, born in 1560 in Hungary. Dubbed the most prolific female murderer by the Guinness Book of World Records, her tale is one of horror and intrigue, shrouded in blood-soaked legend. Legend has it that Báthory, amidst her opulent surroundings and social prominence, harbored a sinister obsession with eternal youth. Rumors swirl of her heinous acts, alleging that she slaughtered as many as 600 young servant girls to bathe in their blood, believing it would bestow upon her everlasting beauty. While the precise number of victims remains a subject of debate among scholars, the gruesome details of Báthory's crimes are well documented. Following the death of her husband in 1604, whispers of her atrocities began to surface, prompting King Matthias II of Hungary to dispatch György Thurzo to investigate. From 1601 to 1611, Thurzo and his team meticulously gathered testimony from nearly 300 witnesses, unveiling a harrowing tale of deception and brutality. Báthory stood accused of luring unsuspecting peasant girls, predominantly aged between 10 and 14, to her fortress-like abode, Captivated Castle, under the guise of offering them employment. Once in her clutches, these unfortunate souls endured unspeakable horrors at Báthory's hands. They were subjected to merciless beatings, excruciating torture, and ultimately, death. Shockingly, some witnesses even suggested that Báthory engaged in acts of cannibalism, adding another layer of horror to her already macabre tale. Thurzo's investigation culminated in a chilling discovery at Captivated Castle, where he stumbled upon the lifeless body of one victim and others languishing in captivity, their fates sealed by Báthory's cruelty. Despite the gravity of the accusations, Báthory's noble lineage shielded her from facing trial and the ensuing scandal it would bring. Instead, Thurzo reluctantly agreed to a compromise, allowing Báthory to live out her remaining years under house arrest within the confines of her castle. There, she was confined to solitary quarters, a prisoner of her own twisted desires until her death in 1614. Even in death, Báthory's legacy continued to evoke fear and revulsion. When she was laid to rest in the local churchyard, outraged villagers vehemently protested, prompting authorities to relocate her remains to the Báthory family estate. Countess Elizabeth Báthory's reign of terror may have ended centuries ago, but her chilling legacy lives on as a cautionary tale of unchecked power and the depths of human depravity. Number 2. Kenneth Bianchi. Kenneth Bianchi, alongside his cousin Antonio Buono, became infamous as one of the perpetrators behind the grisly series of crimes known as the Hillside Strangler. Their reign of terror unfolded in 1977 when 10 girls and women fell victim to rape and strangulation in the hills overlooking Los Angeles, California. The duo, both employed as pimps in the mid-70s, spiraled into a vortex of depravity after a violent altercation with another pimp and prostitute, culminating in the abduction of Yolanda Washington in October 1977, believed to be their inaugural victim. Over subsequent months, they callously preyed upon 9 more victims, spanning ages from 12 to nearly 30 years old, subjecting them to heinous acts of rape and torture before mercilessly ending their lives. Dubbed the Hillside Strangler by the press, insinuating the work of a lone perpetrator, law enforcement officials harbored suspicions of multiple assailants from the outset. In 1978, Bianchi relocated to Washington state, where he continued his reign of terror by raping and murdering 2 more women. Prompt police intervention swiftly tied him to these crimes, revealing eerie parallels to the Hillside Strangler killings. Under intense interrogation, Bianchi eventually cracked, offering a comprehensive account of his collaboration with Buono in exchange for a life sentence, sparing him from the death penalty. Bianchi's testimony proved pivotal in the prosecution of his cousin, who was subsequently tried and convicted for 9 counts of murder. Number 3. Moses Sithole. Moses Sithole, a notorious South African serial killer, endured a tumultuous upbringing within the confines of an orphanage. His descent into infamy began with a charge of rape during his teenage years, an incident he attributed to his subsequent transformation into a murderer. Sithole chillingly recounted that the memory of the woman who accused him of rape haunted him during his 7-year incarceration, ultimately shaping his path towards depravity. Operating under the radar by frequently relocating across different cities, Sithole proved elusive to law enforcement. Presenting himself as a benefactor of sorts, he assumed the guise of managing a charitable organization purportedly dedicated to combating child abuse. Using the pretext of job interviews, Sithole lured unsuspecting victims into his trap, only to subject them to brutal beatings, rape, and murder before abandoning their lifeless bodies in secluded areas. In 1995, a crucial witness placed Sithole in the proximity of one of his victims, leading investigators to close in on their elusive quarry. The weight of his atrocities finally caught up with him when he was convicted in 1997, receiving consecutive 50-year sentences for each of the 38 murders he perpetrated. Presently, Sithole remains incarcerated in Bloemfontein, South Africa, serving out his sentence as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. Number 4. Ted Bundy. One of America's most prolific serial killers, Ted Bundy confessed to the murder of 30 women, but the actual count of his victims is still unknown. In 1974, several young women vanished without a trace from areas around Washington and Oregon, while Bundy lived in Washington. Later that year, Bundy moved to Salt Lake City, and later that year, 2 Utah women disappeared. In January 1975, a Colorado woman was reported missing. By this time, law enforcement authorities began to suspect they were dealing with one man committing crimes in multiple locations. Several women reported that they had been approached by a handsome man calling himself Ted, who often appeared to have a broken arm or leg and asked for help with his old Volkswagen. Soon, a composite sketch began making the rounds in police departments throughout the West. In 1975, Bundy was stopped for a traffic violation, and the officer who pulled him over discovered handcuffs and other questionable items in his car. He was arrested on suspicion of burglary, and a woman who had escaped him the previous year identified him in a lineup as the man who tried to abduct her. Bundy managed to escape from law enforcement twice, once while awaiting a pre-trial hearing in early 1977, and once in December of that same year. After his second escape, he made his way to Tallahassee and rented an apartment near the FSU campus under an assumed name. Just 2 weeks after his arrival in Florida, Bundy broke into a sorority house, murdering 2 women and severely beating 2 others. A month later, Bundy kidnapped and murdered a 12-year-old girl. Just a few days later, he was arrested for driving a stolen car, and police were soon able to piece together the puzzle. The man in their custody was escaped murder suspect Ted Bundy, with physical evidence tying him to the murder of the women in the sorority house. Including a mold of bite marks left on one of the victims, Bundy was sent to trial. He was convicted of the sorority house murders, as well as the killing of the 12-year-old girl, and given 3 death sentences. He was executed in January 1989. Number 5. Marianne Robson. Born Marianne Robson in 1832 in England, Marianne Cotton was convicted of murdering her stepson by poisoning him with arsenic and was suspected of killing 3 of her 4 husbands to collect their life insurance. It's also possible that she killed 11 of her children. Her first husband died of an intestinal disorder, while her second suffered from paralysis and intestinal problems before his death. Husband number 3 threw her out when he discovered she'd racked up a lot of bills that she couldn't pay, but Cotton's 4th husband died of a mysterious gastric malady. During her 4 marriages, 11 of the 13 children she bore died, as did her mother, all suffering from strange stomach pains before passing away. Her stepson by her last husband died as well, and a parish official became suspicious. The boy's body was exhumed for examination, and Cotton was sent to jail, where she delivered her 13th child in January 1873. 2 months later, her trial began, and the jury deliberated for just over an hour before returning a guilty verdict. Cotton was sentenced to execution by hanging, but there was a problem with the rope being too short, and she strangled to death instead. Thank you for joining us on this chilling exploration into the minds of history's most notorious serial killers. Remember, understanding the darkest corners of humanity can help us protect ourselves and our loved ones. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and comment down below. And for even more spine-tingling content. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never forget to keep your wits about you. This is Tag Trivia Trove signing off.